Hello, I'm Executive Chef Joseph Schutze. Welcome to our kitchen. Today's demonstration was brought on by a conversation I had with a Hungarian friend of mine in Long Island. She was talking about duck confit, wanting to serve it for the holidays, and was looking for variations and other ways to serve it other than the traditional and shredding it. So I mentioned, duck confit cake that I make with apples, butternut squash, truffle, things like that. And after our conversation, or during the conversation, I thought about this particular recipe. What if we deboned the duck thigh and then stuffed it with some dried fruit and stuffing and then slow roasted it? Well, Tundi, today's demonstration is for you. Join me now as I show you how I prepare this dish. Here we are with our duck leg and thigh. What we'll do first is flip it over skin side down and find the thigh bone. You'll see it right there with the joint sticking out the end. What I'll do is I take my knife and I gently follow the bone using the tip and score on the side of the bone, gently peeling back the meat. Be certain to be careful with this and only use the tip of the knife, as you do not want to cut through the skin. Once you get down far enough, you could take your knife under and then just gently slice your way out from under. Now we have exposed the bone. Now all you need to do is follow it back, gently stripping the meat from the bone. Now, looking at the bone, you'll see how it bends, very much like an elbow or a kneecap. And if you've ever dealt with chicken, you'll know that that joint has two pieces together like this. All you need to do is find where it bends, take your knife, gently cut in between. Then continue with the stripping of the meat, under. Careful as you're cutting up this way. I would recommend not doing it for beginners, but if you've done it a lot, just kind of gently do it. And there you have debone. The leg bone, the drumstick, is going to stay intact. We want to keep that as a showpiece. Again, that's completely optional. I just prefer to do it. Now that we have it like that, let's make a nice cut along that bone. We're going to peel back a little bit of the meat and then essentially butterfly it. Gently cut it open, cut across, and open the thigh up. This is going to help us when we go to stuff it and roll it. If you have any little pieces of meat like this, I tend to stick them back in there just to help fill it up a little more. Bones we save for stock. And now we're on to the stuffing. So now that we have all of our duck legs boneless or deboned, we have our stuffing. The stuffing I made today has dried sour cherries, dried apricots, little red onion, some scallion, and walnuts. I am using a gluten-free bread for this. Well, now we're about to tie or secure the duck leg. A couple ways we can do this. One, we can do it with butcher's twine, or we can use an item that is called jet net. Option one is with the butcher's twine. We will set our duck leg with the opening towards the top and kind of snug it together. Don't worry about it being open a little bit, that will be fine. I tie a noose knot into my twine and then slide it underneath of the duck leg. Begin to snug it. Be careful not to tie it too tight, as it will just close up everything completely and will squeeze your filling out. So now that we got there, let's go ahead and take our string, take it vertical, take your hand, twist it, and you make another little loop like this, and then sneak it underneath the leg and slide it down the remaining thigh leg quarter. I keep it about 3/4 of an inch to an inch apart, because I do want it to be snug and I also want it to maintain some shape. So we'll pull that together and then extend out. And again, do your loop, pull it under the leg, and come back up. Then as I'm pulling it snug, I like to push some of this filling back in just to make certain that it does stay in there. And if you have to, pull a little bit of the skin over and then snug your butcher's twine again to help ensure that it stays closed. Now that we have the bottom secured, let us take it over and around the back and the bottom. And then we will tuck in any filling that may have came out. And let's kind of push together. Take your butcher's twine and then tie it off with the little leftover string that you had when you first made your knot. And there you have it. We'll then put this into your baking dish and repeat with the other duck. The second way that we could tie this up together is with an item called jet net. Jet net is a butcher's twine that is actually elastic and is able to hold items tight together. I have a couple different sizes. This one is actually used for things like salami and when you hang it to dry, and it helps keep its shape. So this is a trick we used to use back in Atlanta in like 2004, 2008. When we had carving stations and were serving boneless turkey breasts, we would take a large 46-ounce can and we would cut the bottoms and the top off. You slide the jet net over the top of the can and just continuously feed it on until the entire jet net is on the can. It's important to do this evenly because it will get snug up on you and it really makes it difficult. So now I'm going to leave this little bit off the edge, okay? Maybe a little. Okay. So now what we do, we will lay this down like so. Situation your duck or your chicken, turkey, whatever you're doing. Now, mind you, this is a much smaller can, because this is a much smaller item. If you're using something large like a turkey breast, then the bigger the can and the wider jet net you need. So what we will do is take this, we will then slide it down the can gently, and as it slides down through, your jet net pulls everything together, and we will then snip the end. And there you have, and there you have your trussed duckling. I don't know about you. I like this way much better. The jet net you can source from your local butcher most likely. If you're unable to get it through them, then just look online. I bought mine online, and it's not really expensive either. Well, now that the duck leg thighs are all tied up, trussed up, I have them seasoned with a little salt and pepper and then a homemade dry herb and spice rub that I use specifically for duck. Have my baking dish. I put a little bit of stock in the bottom, maybe about 1 cup's worth, 3/4 of a cup's worth. And then I do have a little bit of leftover stuffing. I'm just going to throw that in as a base. I just don't want to waste it. And then let's go ahead and put our duck. Now we are ready for the oven. 2 ways we can approach this. 1, in the way of true confit, like I do it, is 250 degrees Fahrenheit for 24 hours. However, if you're planning on serving this today, you can go 375 degrees for about 2 hours. We'll start there. At that point, we want to check for the crispiness of the fat or the skin, also the doneness of the duck itself. So obviously I recommend using a digital thermometer. That way it gives you accurate temperatures. So off to the oven we go. Well, here we are from the oven. I had let it rest for about 5-10 minutes. Now we want to cut off the butcher's twine or the jet net, depending on which you chose to do. Our crust is nice and crispy. A lot of fat had rendered off, as you expect. That is removed, and let's go ahead and slice this. Here we are with the stuffing. I had to cut on the bias because the bone is still running down to about here. And there we are. Nice and juicy, tender. Very good tasting. Well, there you have a stuffed duck leg. It is a little bit tricky deboning and stuffing it, but the reward at the end is well worth the labor on the front side. Feel free to use any type of stuffing that you like. Cornbread stuffing with andouille sausage and sage, mushrooms, foie gras, truffles, anything that you like. As far as side dishes for this, it go with anything from mashed potatoes to risotto to quinoa, farro, anything that you desire. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's demonstration. I'm pleased at the way it turned out at 375 for 2 hours. Now also, if you feel that it starts to get a little dark faster, by all means, turn down the temperature for the final, 30 minutes or 15 minutes to about 350, just to ensure that the skin doesn't get too dark for you. As far as the cook time itself, the inside was very tender. The duck is moist and tender. That was on spot. Well, thank you again for joining us. If you have not done so already, please subscribe to the channel. Be up to date with all of our latest posts. Tundi, I hope you try this, and I hope it turns out well for you and your guests at Christmas. Thanks again for joining. Yo te vaya.